China's foreign ministry says Beijing has the right to operate more than 100 military ships in the South China Sea.
中方渔船在该海域作业必封、合理合法，菲方不应该说三道四。
The comments come after the Philippines accused Beijing of illegally swarming an area of the sea that both countries claim as their own. China has been blocking attempts by the Philippines to deliver supplies to one of its ships beached on a reef. China claims the entirety of the South China Sea, but there is no legal basis to those claims. Now, for more on the situation in the South China Sea, our reporter Jaime Ocon spoke to Aaron-Matthew Lariosa, a security analyst based in Washington, D.C.
How common is it for China to deploy, hundreds, more than 100 of these vessels in the South China Sea?
So this is actually really common Chinese employment. They usually employ large fishing fleets within the Philippine EEZ. Most of the time, they do not respond to Philippine Coast Guard calls or Philippine Navy calls. They just go unimpeded. And frankly, the Philippines can't really do much. There's just too many of them. They don't have enough assets. Manila also doesn't really want to provoke an incident. There's a lot of things that could happen.
And these ships that we're seeing, are these military ships or are these ordinary fishing vessels?
So the Chinese have a very, let's just say, a hybrid distinction with these vessels. Officially, they do look like fishing vessels, and they could be. China has massive fishing fleets that roam the world's waters. We know Taiwan deals with them a lot. However, in the Philippines and the South China Sea, they do employ their maritime militia a lot that use similar-looking vessels. And frankly, it's really hard to distinguish what crews are on these vessels, what exactly they're doing.
Is there anything that the Philippines can do to kind of counter this aggression from China?
Manila is taking an extremely nuanced stance to the current issue. The National Task Force on Self-Reliancy, that's the Philippine government agency responsible for all the issues in the area, they flatly stated resupplying the BRP Sierra Madre on a Yukon shoal is the Philippines the Philippines job. Yeah, so the BRP Sierra Madre is this rusting amphibious warship from the Second World War that the Philippine Navy beached on Second Thomas Shoal. The Philippines calls it Yukon Shoal, and they beached it because they do not want any other claimants, specifically China, to take that shoal and reclaim it. So the Philippines has a permanent presence there. The Chinese, however, have been making ever assertive attempts to blockade the shoal and deprive the Philippine soldiers there of necessities, and they want to drive them out. So it's been a really interesting situation, to say the least, within the past year. We've seen way more Chinese actions against resupply missions.
With this increased military presence from both China and the Philippines, is there any concern that an incident could maybe miscalculate into a broader conflict in that area?
But the real issue in the region is it's Southeast Asian countries, not even just the Philippines, but ASEAN, Vietnam, that are really trying to make a good effort here to establish code of conduct, to establish rules and norms. But the Chinese don't pick up the phone. They rarely engage in goodwill. And we see these incidents where the Philippine ships are just trying to get through. And then you have these massive Chinese cutters just trying to ram them. And that does not look like an accident, to be fair. It really does not look like an accident. You have a cutter going straight into a really small resupply boat. So people do bring up the issue of miscalculation. But frankly, we're seeing a lot of moves from China that are edging closer and closer to a risky incident that are clearly not through miscalculation or a simple accident in the heat of the moment.
Now, security analyst Aaron-Matthew Lariosa speaking to our reporter Jaime Ocon.